What's up, everyone? On today's episode of What Sucks, this heat. So what sucks. But on a note of what doesn't suck is this. Been a bit since it's really been up here with the camera, but it's running. Did a little bit of street tuning yesterday on it, kind of doing a little bit of shakedown. Upper control arm bolts kind of came loose, so we're gonna come rectify that today. But give you a quick little walk around before we do too much of what we have set up. Of course, we got a nice little battery kill back here. And we've got all of our electronics, as you guys saw before, if you guys are keeping up with the Instagram channel. And then we'll have our fuel pump switch here. Obviously headlights, one labeled lights, should do running lights as well. We're gonna leave that off for the time being. Sometimes it gives you trouble on the startup. I haven't gotten my startup perfect in the map yet. Voila. I've been messing around with the screen a little bit to try to figure out like how to get everything set up. There's a couple different displays. This is like the normal one, and then you can add other gauges and whatnot to it. Nothing on here is working yet. I ordered that can extension module for my ECU down there, but it hasn't showed up quite yet. But it's breaking up, and I think I'm gonna try messing around with my ignition timing today. I have a laptop up here. I think I brought mine home. Mikey might have left his up here. If he didn't, then we're just doing bolt checks today and getting stuff tightened down. But if he did, I'm gonna try to change that and bring it for a drive. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a quick little bolt check today and giving you guys a little bit of an update. This is a much heavier clutch than what was in that Miata that I drove up here, that's for sure. But I think I'm gonna adjust that today too and see if I can get that to feel a little better. But I did a bolt check before, but I guess I didn't do it very good. Time to rectify that. Well, before any of that, I gotta adjust this clutch on this Conquest. Ran away up here the other day and got off the highway to go to Fleet Farm, and one of the springs popped out of the clutch disc on this thing, and just recently put a new one in. I'm gonna hopefully crawl where Jake is right now and pull that pin out of the clutch. Cool, good to go here. I'm gonna work on my stuff. Can't forget, won't forget. All right, since that distraction is over, I want to update y'all on a couple of things that have changed about this project since the last time we put it on YouTube. Now, biggest thing, our ignition system, we went back to stock coils, aftermarket wires, NGK copper core plugs. The only bit of OEM wiring on this harness is gonna be this guy right here. I had to buy a brand new from Toyota. This harness was just destroyed, so the last bit of the puzzle is just rewiring this CPS. I'm basically just going to try to resolder all the connections back down here, because like it's destroyed, and then that's like the only thing that I can't find like a rebuild kit for, and there's not a ton of aftermarket options that aren't switching to a Hall sensor, which I'm not opposed to doing, but like for simplicity, like I don't want to. I mean, realistically speaking, this is a stock long block for the most part. It's got an upgraded oil pump in it. That's about it. Otherwise, we went to an AEM ignition box. Obviously speed density. We went with a Pro Sport oil pressure gauge and sensor. Brand new Ace and OEM cylinders. I believe this is a master brace from Drift Motion. We were able to get our God, it's so hot and it's affecting my ability to think. Strut tower brace, and then idle control. Jesus, I can't think. And this came out of like a 90s Crown Vic. So it's just a simple 2-wire motor, made a little plate to adapt it to the manifold. Fairly simple. A lot of guys end up going that route. I mean, they're really available. I mean, how many Crown Vics are there? So if that goes bad, I can get another one out of a junkyard for a couple pennies. And then, of course, modified the manifold a little bit, got rid of the cold start injection, and just converted that over to a threaded boss so that we could put a vacuum line out of it. And that's going to, of course, give our blow-off valve its vacuum. That's going to give this fuel pressure regulator its vacuum. And realistically speaking, that's really the only vacuum sources that I feel like I'm gonna need at this time. The only thing that we're missing is I wanna do another oil pressure sensor in the same location as that one. Basically just do a T, one sensor here, one sensor here. One will feed my gauge, the other will feed my ECU, so I can have like a, you know, low oil pressure condition cut on the engine or something like that. Just some fail safes, makes me feel a lot better. The more sensors, in my opinion, the better, because I can monitor and, you know, log everything that's going on in the engine. So, and then fuel pressure sensor, I'm going to throw one right here. I have all of, like, the harnesses there. So fuel pressure sensor is going to wire in through here, and then I've also got which you can't see anymore because everything's kind of tied up. Like, there are some wiring looms down under the manifold that will go to an ethanol content analyzer, and then the only other thing I got to do is knock sensors. I switched over to a 2-wire sensor from a 1-wire that came factory on the GTEs, but the bolt that holds the sensor to the boss and the block is significantly bigger than what it is on the knock sensor, so like I can't fit the bolt through. So I got my buddy working on a solution for that right now so that I can dial in the rest of this car, get everything, make sure that we have all of our bolts tightened and everything like that. We did get our brakes all plumbed and bled, so our brakes are working good. Obviously we were street tuning it the other day, so I had to be able to stop. And then, like I said, we got some lights wired in. Headlights are good, running lights, tail lights. I still have yet to do the brake lights and turn signals, but we got our dash all back in and everything. This is gonna be really dark. ECU is mounted to the wall over there. All those wires are ran. I do need to get this window regulator working. I'm not the best with electrical, I'm gonna say that right now. I had a lot of help setting up the electrical with this. Really the only thing that I did is like the inside of the car, so like this panel here, and then wiring in like the pump, and my buddy Mike helped me out with the taillights in the back. And then of course, got me a nice little harness bar now. So properly mounted seat belts, no longer the sketchy bar that ran between the strut towers that I had before. I'm sure if I would have gotten in an accident, I think it would have harpooned me from the back. Yeah, that's it for the major changes at this right now. I got some rotors coming for the front. I got my Stop Tech rotors not installed, but they're sitting in my office. I do got to fix this. I've kind of just had it on these wheels so that it would have the ability to roll while it's here and they still hold air. I don't plan on running them on those unless I can get that lip fixed. But they're 2G VR4 wheels from Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Which we are big fans of here. Had a lot of spare parts and the wheels fit. They're like a high offset wheel, so they kind of fit. You know, they're not the worst thing I've had on this car, but wheels will be something I can worry about later. Let's get this car up in the air. I'll show you guys the issue that we were running into with the upper control arms. I mean, not that you couldn't figure that we just forgot to tighten the nuts down, but let's get this thing up in the air and then we can do our bolt check, put it back down on the ground, possibly take this thing for a tiny little rip up and down the driveway to see if the change that I made in ignition timing helps to stumble at all. So yeah, we'll see where we get. This is what we're working on. Obviously, as you can see, this is all still stock. Stock rotor, stock upper, stock lower arms, stock axles. The only real aftermarket thing back here is going to be these subframe billet spacers here, along with the bushings and stuff like that, just to tighten up the sub. We do have a bracing kit on order that basically runs and it braces the subframe on each leg, and then has some that also, I believe, run from up here to above the axles, basically just to help keep the subframe from cracking or warping. These cars have an issue with the rear subframes when they start making more power. I mean, this thing isn't gonna really make the power for me to be that worried about it, but I'd rather not have to search for another subframe in the future. So we're gonna pull this back out once that kit shows up. I found a guy on Facebook who makes the weld plates for it. So essentially, like, you weld the plates onto the subframe and then you run some DOM tubing between the plates to strengthen it up. And it adds a little bit of weight, but not enough for me to really be all that worried about it. And again, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I've said before, Battle Version makes these arms. I'm just a broke and I can't afford any of that right now. Well, with buying a drive shaft and, you know, after buying the can expansion module, the stuff to mount the seats, like, it's hard, dang it. But those are my next goal, is to get those done. The upper control arms are also incredibly expensive, like $600 a pair. So, but all will be worth it because it'll give me the adjustability that I need to dial the car in. These cars don't have the greatest factory suspension design. So I'm here to rectify that, if you will. But that is not the goal for today. The goal for today is to get this rotor swapped out with the Stop Tech ones, and then to get those upper control arm bolts tightened, just to do another quick little bolt check on the car, because I missed those last time. Who knows what else I missed. But let's bust this out quick, and we will move on to bigger and better things. Super stoked with these. Really like the way these rotors look. Probably not gonna like do anything special for the primary caliper. I might just paint them silver so they don't look super old and crusty. These brakes work really well for how old this car is. But I did a bolt check, got the rotor swapped over, so we're gonna throw the wheels back on. We are actually looking real quick to knocking up a catback for this thing. Something super simple. I wanted to leave a lot of straight sections in it because I want to put a pill style resonator in there and like a chambered muffler on the back, because like I'm not a fan of loud cars, but like this should be pretty easy. So essentially we're gonna come out of the downpipe, we're gonna come across to kind of this little dip that you see in the subframe. There's an exhaust hanger right here, and then it will run across through here, bend, kind of go up and over by the gas tank. That's why you got this heat shield here, and then exhaust hanger here, exhaust hanger here. But Monday, I'm gonna go talk to my fab manager at work and see if I can steal one of those mufflers off his bench. He's got a couple 3-inch ones sitting there. It's not gonna shut it up as much as I'm gonna want it, but it'll make me a lot happier. But like I said, a bolt check is completed. Everything is a lot tighter than it was. I did actually miss a bunch of stuff. I was in such a hurry the other day to get this thing on the road that like I kind of endangered myself by doing so. Luckily, I mean, we're in the middle of Minnesota and there's like nothing up here. So we were on a road driving up and down the same road for probably an hour yesterday before we saw a car. But now it will be a lot safer. So once we get brake lights and turn signals in, I'm going to try to drive it back down to my house, get it trailered from my house to my work, and throw it on a dyno. But the only thing stopping me from doing that right now is that this drive shaft is gross. I like threw this in expecting it to work well enough for me to just kind of like low speed putt up and down the road, but it sounds just terrifying, and it's shaking the whole car up, and like yeah, not ideal, obviously. So one piece is the way to go. Shit happens. But done back here. We're gonna finish mock up on this, and then for the sake of today's video, take you guys for a little drive. You can kind of get to hear it. It'll probably just destroy the mic on this thing, but who knows. All right, goes the moment of truth. Throw bearings making a little bit of noise too. I don't know what that's all about. Jake's gonna join us. That doesn't go down yet. I've tried to get that window to work.
My fat ass is dying. It's hot.
Oh, it ain't so bad.
go.
Feels better though. Oh, I wonder what that was.
That was right underneath me. That was exhaust.
That was under your feet?
Yeah. That one. You got way too much fuel.
Yeah. I'm gonna try not to stress it on this hill. That could also be since we changed the position of the cam sensor. It didn't change it. Couldn't get it to go away. I think it has something. We redid the injector scaling and everything too to try to see if maybe that was an issue, but all the information seems correct. Feels a lot tighter on the back end though. Pretty happy with that, to be honest with you. I mean, getting the rear end tightened up, getting the whole car shook down feels pretty good. As soon as this cat back is on and that drive shaft is in, this thing is leaving and going to the dyno. But so that's what we got going on. You know, stay tuned to the next video. Hopefully we'll jump into the Conquest a little bit more. The four-wheeler that was here is coming back here in the next couple of weeks, all finished up with the big bore kit. We get to play around with that a little bit, and I think hopefully our next video we'll get some kind of an exhaust made up for this thing. Probably not going to use those, but we're going to get an exhaust made for that. But thank you guys all for watching. You know, stay tuned for the next video, but until then, take it easy.